We're back to continue our conversation with Bryant Priester from Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. And now we're going to speak with Bryant about the application process to Purdue. So Bryant, now that we know a little bit more about Purdue University, let's discuss your application process, beginning with the basics. So what are Purdue's application requirements?
In order to apply to Purdue, for beginner students, that's for students who are coming directly from high school, they're required to submit the common application for admission. For students who've completed who've done college coursework, they would apply as a transfer student and they would use the Purdue application online. We would require transcripts from every school attended. Either they could be the original or we will take a tested copy of the transcript. The students will have to demonstrate English proficiency if they are a non-U.S. citizen or non-U.S. permanent resident. In addition to that, we require a letter of recommendation or the form from the high school counselor for admission. So those are the general requirements, components for the application.
Next, can you outline the application deadlines and the basic process that the student would go through?
Absolutely. So freshmen can begin and apply to Purdue starting August 1st, and they can use the common application for admission. All of our freshmen who application is completed by October 15th of this year, they will receive their decisions first starting mid-December of this year. After the mid-December beginning release date, Purdue will start releasing decisions on a daily basis, pretty much until we've sort of filled our class of students. All the Purdue decisions for students who've been offered admission is non-binding, so students will have until May 1st of 2015 in order to confirm their admission by paying their deposit either online or through other means, confirming their admission to Purdue.
What you mentioned, the idea of releasing decisions sort of regularly, that's commonly referred to as rolling admission.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit more about what it means when a school uses rolling admission and anything that students should be aware of when they're applying to a school that uses a rolling admission policy?
Okay. Pretty much for rolling admissions, it means that we review applications in order of completion and we release decisions continuously at a start beginning date. Other schools may release decisions once or twice during the application cycle. But at Purdue, because we received so many applications, last year we received 12,000 applications for our international freshman class. So we release decisions after reviewing applications in order of completion.
For a school with rolling admission, is there any difference applying early in the process versus later in the process?
Absolutely. So I encourage students to apply as early as possible, especially for our more competitive majors. Obviously, many of the majors in STEM, management, they're more competitive to get in because there's more applicants applying to those types of majors. So, and because because our decisions are non-binding and you have until May 1st, there's no disadvantage if students who are applying early. The caveat to that, as well as applying early, is sometimes we may ask for additional information. So it's always important to apply early, so if we ask for additional information, you can submit that to us in a timely manner. Lastly, as I mentioned, because we receive so many applications from around the world, it's the student's responsibility to check to make sure their application is complete. Many students, may wait to the very last minute, and in that case, depending on the major in which they applied for, it's too late for us to review not only to review their application, but to offer them a space in the class. In many situations, students are admissible to Purdue, but because they applied too late or they didn't check to see if we were missing materials, we were not able to offer them admission to the school.
Bryant, you also referred to some early deadlines. So you mentioned if students apply by mid-October, they will receive a decision by mid-December.
Right.
And it's non-binding, which makes that an early action program.
Right.
Right? So what does it, are there advantages for a student to apply to Purdue through early action? Or why, even if there are not advantages, why would a student choose to apply early action?
The way I see this, some students know that they want to attend Purdue. And many students, they've already, in various parts of the world, they've already completed graduation. Or they've taken the test and they've done everything necessary. So applying is not necessarily, they have all the materials needed to apply, it's just getting it done. And in terms of timing, it may make more sense to do it in early fall than others. And some students, we don't recommend that they sort of submit everything, because sometimes I have to counsel students and say that you can submit your application, but we're going to need your 7th semester grades, knowing on what you told me, in order to make a more informed decision about your ability. So there are many sort of ins and outs. Applying early, that also can mean we still have the right to ask for additional information to make a final decision. So some students, they know that Purdue is the choice for them, so that they apply early. Some of it's based on timing, based on where in the world that they are. So there are many different factors. But as I mentioned, because students have until May 1st to make their final decision, if students have any interest in applying to Purdue, it would make sense to apply earlier, because at Purdue in general, there's a number, we definitely have a limited number of spaces in general. We can't admit every single freshman who wants to apply to Purdue overall, whether you're international or not. So if you have any demonstrated interest in Purdue, it would make sense to at least apply, during the recommended times for applying. Because if you apply in March or April, knowing that Purdue is a top choice for you, there's a large chance that you won't get the major that you want. And it makes more sense on our campus as well, because at Purdue you have to apply for a specific major. Some schools you apply to the university in general, then you select a major. At Purdue, we admit you based on the major that you want to be admitted to.
Along those lines of, as you mentioned, at Purdue, you applied to a major, not to the entire university, but to a specific major. Similarly, are there other requirements or other parts of Purdue's application process that tend to confuse international applicants? And if so, can you maybe explain those in a little more detail?
I think it's fair to say that, in these days, being international students can be a multiple combination of many different educational types. Seeing a student doing like their countrywide, tests, and maybe doing a part of the British system, and maybe a part of the International Baccalaureate, and maybe some APs on top of that, or the American Honor System. So, I tell students that being an international student, depending on the country that you're coming from, we can't just sort of put you in a specific box for, well, this is acceptable or this is not acceptable. We have to sort of look at the entire record. At the same time, Purdue, we have specific subject matter requirements that every student must meet. But the more stringent one is for the College of Engineering. Every student must take a year of chemistry. It doesn't have to be, the highest level chemistry offered in the world. It just has to be a year of chemistry in your between when you started high school and when you graduated from high school. So that's something that we specifically look for. Also, it's fair to say that because most of our students are studying, in the STEM majors, that we would want to see adequate preparation in this, in your STEM subjects in high school. It would be really difficult to admit a student who wants to study, chemistry, and maybe not have done well in any science courses in high school. So talking to students, amongst those lines. And also, I know that many of our international students feel outward pressure from other sources, maybe counselors, perhaps, family, about studying in the majors that may be incongruent with interests, and so that also is another conversation, for students as well. And, I tell students, obviously our students are studying science, but, there's a music program, we have a theater program, we have arts, and students can do these things in conjunction with, other types of study that they want to do, at Purdue.
We're going to take another quick break, but we'll be right back to continue our conversation with Bryant about the evaluation process at Purdue University.